The scientists say this is the first documented instance of nectar that attracts a particular animal assistant being produced outside of a nectary. In fact, the observed nectar breeding might actually be an early system that evolved to include the nectaries found in other plants today. Surgical site infections are caused by bacteria that get in through incisions made during surgery. They threaten the lives of millions of patients each year and contribute to the spread of antibiotic resistance. In low and middle-income countries, 11% of patients who undergo surgery are infected in the process.
The Roman state was tested almost to destruction by the defeat at Cannae by the Carthaginians led by Hannibal, and according to the historian Polybius, it was only what he called the peculiar virtues of the Roman constitution that allowed it to survive this crisis.
We understand the importance of supporting and restoring biodiversity, and we are teaming up with the world's leading molecular biologists, technologists, conservation biologists, conservation organizations, ethicists, and thought leaders to call for intended consequences to help us safely use all of the available tools that can provide the advantage we need to turn the tide on species loss.
Nell and his colleagues took to the Everglades at night, hunting for gators near and far from nests. You have to use a spotlight, and you see the little demon, eyes shining out of the marsh. They lassoed the gators, pulled them into the airboat, and took blood sea samples and body measurements. English colonies emerged along the eastern seaboard for a variety of reasons. People, primarily men, originally migrated to Virginia to find gold and silver to make a quick profit. After it became evident that there were no precious metals in the area, men came to Virginia to start cultivating cash crops like tobacco.
Prolonged exposure to loud noise alters how the brain processes speech, potentially increasing the difficulty in distinguishing speech sounds. According to neuroscientists, exposure to intensely loud sounds leads to permanent damage of the hair cells, which act as sound receivers in the ear. Once damaged, the hair cells do not grow back, leading to noise-induced hearing loss.
Participating regularly in physical activity has been shown to benefit an individual's health and well-being. Regular physical activity is important in reducing the risk of chronic diseases such as heart disease and stroke, obesity, diabetes, and some forms of cancer. The National Physical Activity Guidelines for adults recommends at least 30 minutes of moderate intensity physical activity, preferably every day of the week, to obtain health benefits.
Straddling Asia and Europe across the strait, the old city of Istanbul, Turkey has embraced diverse cultural influences. Known for its monumental architecture, Istanbul has become a cherished travel destination.
Sir Charles Spencer Chaplin was an English comic actor, filmmaker, and a composer, rose to fame in the era of silent film. He became a worldwide icon through his screen persona, the Tramp, and is considered one of the most important figures in the history of the film industry. His career spanned more than 75 years, from childhood in the Victorian era until a year before his death in 1977, and encompassed both adulation.
Artificial neural networks have recently become the state-of-the-art technique for crucial signal processing applications such as specific frequencies classification, structural health monitoring, diseases detection in power electronics circuitry, and motor fault detection. This is an expected outcome as there are numerous advantages of using an adaptive and compact deep counterparts. Particularly, it can be efficiently trained with a limited dataset of signals, besides requiring data transformation.
Biology is the natural science that studies life and living organisms, including their physical structure, chemical processes, physiological mechanisms, and evolution. Certain unifying concepts consolidated into a single and coherent field that recognizes genes as the basic unit of heredity and evolution as the engine that propels the creation and extinction
The legislation, which Democrats hope to push through the Senate by the weekend, remains among the largest federal relief packages in modern American history. It would deliver hundreds of billions of dollars for vaccine distribution, hospitals, state and local governments, and families struggling to recover from the economic toll of the coronavirus pandemic.
Vaccines work by training and preparing the body's natural defenses, the immune system, to recognize and fight off viruses and bacteria. If the body is exposed to those disease-causing pathogens later, it will be ready to destroy them quickly, which prevents illness. When a person gets vaccinated against a disease, their risk of infection is also reduced.
The Mars 2020 Perseverance rover will search for signs of ancient microbial life, which will advance NASA's quest to explore the past habitability of Mars. The rover has a drill to collect core samples of Martian rock and soil, then store them in sealed tubes for pickup by a future mission that would ferry them back to Earth for detailed analysis. Perseverance will also test technologies to help pave the way for future human exploration of Mars.
These decisions are highly nuanced. Of course, we use a lot of data to inform decisions, but we also rely very heavily on iteration, research, testing, intuition, and human empathy. Now, sometimes the designers who work on these projects are called data-driven, which is a term that totally drives us bonkers. The fact is, it would be irresponsible of us not to rigorously test our designs when so many people are counting on us to get it right.
Conservation scientists have long tried to map how much of the planet remains undegraded by human activity. Previous estimates using satellite imagery or raw demographic data found anywhere from 20 to 40% of the globe was free from obvious human incursions, such as roads, light pollution, or the gaping scars of deforestation. But an intact forest canopy can hide an emptied-out ecosystem below.
The audio, which includes more than 1,000 separate data files, was captured in the early 1970s by the late Hetty Van der Riff. She recorded the various screams, barks, and how calls made by a group of chimps, including 17 youngsters, living in the Gom National Park in Tanzania.
A total of 5 ozone ascents were taken at Barity Station, Indian Mission, Antarctica from April to June 2016, as a stratospheric temperature reduced to 82.24 C on 20 June 2016, indicating the formation of stratospheric clouds. Leading scientists at Barity Station feared that Montreal Accord has not succeeded to control the emission of ozone-depleting gases in the atmosphere.
How quickly this occurs depends on the dynamics of fertility, mortality, and overseas migration, while a moderate pace of demographic change allows for gradual adjustment of the economy and policies to the changing population demographics. Rapid changes are more difficult to manage as a result. Governments and society as a whole may need to take actions to address these issues.
Sleep behavior is also known as sleep disorder. People with sleep disorder often talk or walk in their sleep. They are not aware of what they are talking about or where they are going. There isn't any serious effects on body in general, but it may be connected to the mental health. People with childhood traumas, unspeakable problem or depression are the ones with different sleep behaviors.
The terms summary and abstract are often used interchangeably, resulting in some confusion. This problem arises because there are two distinct types of abstracts, descriptive and informative. The informative abstract is another name for a summary, the descriptive is not. The descriptive abstract is usually only 2 or 3 sentences in length, hence it is not a summary or very informative.
Deaf children learning a sign language could certainly pursue the development of listening and spoken language skills if desired, and doing so would carry much less risk knowing the child would have mastery in at least one language. If a child does not succeed in mastering either a spoken language or a sign language, we must then ask how much benefit the child derived from interventions in each language relative to the amount of time and resources dedicated to those interventions. The slight decline in drug overdose deaths in 2018 coincides with Chinese regulations on the powerful opioid or fentanyl, rather than the result of domestic U.S. efforts to curb the epidemic. A new analysis reveals what many, including President Donald Trump, perceived as a decline in overdose deaths in 2018 appears to be a return to the historic exponential curve.